My name's Heidi, I'm an arts facilitator at Derby Museums, and today we're in the Nature Gallery looking at beetles. And we're going to be drawing the stag beetle and the Goliath beetle. We're going to start with the Goliath beetle, which is the biggest beetle in the world and can carry up to 850 times its own weight. So I'm using a 2B pencil, but you could use any sharp pencil. 2B is nice because it's fairly soft, and you can use it to do shading. So I've drawn a line here. I'm going to draw another line down the centre, very, very faintly. And this is so we can mark out the shapes. So in here we're going to look at the sculptural shapes of the beetle, which are very similar to the samurai warrior in the World Collection Gallery. So if I take this as the centre bit here, and I'll mark it out here. And then I'm going to draw the top part of the wings here. You don't have to mark it out like that, you can actually just draw it down by eye, but this will help you get the proportions right. And I've split it into 4 because the beetles are symmetrical. If you don't want to use a pencil, you can use an ink pen, which will give you a lovely clean line. With a pencil you can rub bits out if they're a bit messy or it's not quite right. The wings of the Goliath beetle are particularly beautiful. They're very fragile and are damaged easily. So when they're not flying, they fold up underneath here, underneath the shell here, until they're ready to be used. So when you're drawing it, if you look at each individual component, like the claws here and the jaw and the antennae, if you look at them closely and see them as separate shapes, they're very sculptural. So that's what I'm going to try and pick out here. It's also good to look at the negative shapes here. So when I do this, I'm actually saying, what does that cut across? So that line cuts across that bit here. But then we have the shape in here, which is just as important as that shape there. I'll draw it quite roughly to begin with, but then you can go back and tidy it up and look at the parts more carefully. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4. So this one isn't quite symmetrical, it's only got 3 bits, which is quite interesting. So don't worry about it being perfect, and just enjoy the shapes and the different textures and patterns that are starting to appear. And don't worry if it doesn't fit completely onto the page either. You can always draw another one afterwards. So now I'm going to use a water-soluble crayon. You could use watercolour paint or ink, and I'm going to pick out the darker shapes on here. And when I've finished colouring them in, I'm going to put a bit of water over the top, and that will turn it into watercolour paint. So I'm going to try and get the colour here with a combination of a light brown and a red and a purpley colour. Now I'm going to add a bit of water with a small paintbrush, and you should be able to see the paint effect coming out. Okay, so I'm going to leave it like this. You don't have to put watercolour on, you could leave it just as a drawing, but I quite like the way the watercolour picks out the fragile colour shapes and textures here. So I'm just coming to the end of the stag beetle, and I hope that, like the samurai warrior, you will be able to appreciate how beautiful the shapes are. The shapes enable them to fly, dig underground and live out on the earth. And the patterns are also quite impressive because they appear to be stronger than they are. And overall, I really hope that you found this process to be relaxing and that you'll want to do numerous drawings. Thank you.